Welcome to Discussions in the Afterlife. My name's Jim.
I'm Colleen, and today we're going to discuss how far back our families could possibly go.
And in order to make any sense of this, I have to give you a little bit of history on a couple subjects. What happened was we did a study, Colleen did a study here in the house looking to see how far back our family, we've been trying this for years and never got a whole lot, but we made a massive attempt to get some information out of them. And one subject comes up with me as a very young child. I mean, I'm talking 4 or 5 years old. I knew sailing ships inside now. It must have been a past life bleeding through at some point, and I drew a sailing ship, the front, as if it's coming right at you, to the extent that my father actually hung it on the wall.
Yeah, it was in the back bar room between those two windows.
Yeah, it was hanging at the Valley Hotel for years, and I drew it when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And also today, I want to give you a real quick history lesson on Celtic tribes. Another question Colleen asks will be about our Celtic history. And it's a fact through DNA testing that the Celtic tribes in Ireland originated from the Iberian Peninsula, which is different than the Celtic tribes in England and Scotland and Normandy, which generally came from the Germanic Northern Europe. So there's two completely different Celtic groups in the British Isles. So we touched on that subject too, and it's really surprising. And side note to any history freaks that are watching this video, the tribe that the Celts beat up in what is now called Ireland, the tribe before them was the Tuatha De Danann. And I spent a bunch of years, a long time ago, trying to track down the Tuatha De Danann. If there's anybody watching this and you have information on the Tuatha, please throw a comment at me, man. I'd love to hear about it. I've heard about them in Normandy, and from my understanding, the name means Tribe of Dan, which is one of the missing tribes of Israel. And they were known as a seafaring people. That's all I got. But we're going to concentrate on the Celts today. So,
I know, we talk about us, how far back do we go and things like that. And one day, a while ago, I was doing a study here at the house, and I don't know what the question was because it had nothing to do with this answer that we got, but somebody said, "You're literally the old person, Colleen."
And that's really curious because what's their definition of an old person? It's like for us, a definition would be 100 years. What's their definition? 1,000 years? 10,000 years? It could be anything.
Right, that's true. And more recently, a woman, just out of the blue as well, said, "I told the Rus."
And that's a really curious comment they made. Rus. The Rus that name stemmed from the Scandinavian Vikings. When they traveled through Russia into Ukraine, down the river systems, they were called the Rus, which meant north in that language, the Northmen. And our mother's family is Slavic with ties to white Russians, and of course Russian, the word Russian comes from the word Rus. So there's a whole different history lesson that any history freaks, information on those subjects, please hit me up. Appreciate it. But go ahead.
You were at your house in Volcancito doing a study.
Yes, I was down in Volcancito, and they had mentioned the Goodall family, that the Finnegans were associated with the Goodalls.
Right, which is odd because, it's kind of curious that the Goodalls married into my mom's side of the family, into our mom's side of the family, so...
Right, so there's some kind of family tie there. I ask those invisible people in that house about the Goodalls, and they respond in the Westernese, the histories. The Westernese, the histories. Now that sounds really super interesting.
It does. And what do you think that means?
I don't know. Sounds like books to me, but I did ask those people down there the next study. And one guy says, sounds like books to me. Another guy over at the steps, they are books, very large. And downstairs, a man says, they sound like good books.
Huh.
I don't.
Well, there you go. It sounds like a textbook that I'd read in high school or something.
It sounds like they use something like a ledger to keep track of all these past generations.
Right, right. So, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here and just talk about some questions that have been asked recently about our past. And here in this house, I asked, what was Jim's name when he worked on that ship?
The sailing ship.
That sailing ship. Figuring he must have been working on a sailing ship at some point. And from the kitchen, a woman says, Gillian. And by the glass door, another woman says, I think it was Gillian. And upstairs, a woman says, people listen to him.
They better, God damn it.
They don't always do what he says, but they listen. So then I repeat the question, what was Jim's name when he last worked on that sailing ship? And by the glass door, a man says, only merchant ship.
That was a slam.
Yeah, that brought you down a peg.
And that brought me down a peg because, of course, like for instance, the sailors in the British Navy truly looked down on the sailors of the merchant fleet. Second-class sailors.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
there we have it.
So there we have it.
And then from the foyer, a man said, Gilly, yet.
So to that guy, maybe my name is still Gillian.
Yes, he has yet to give up your name as Gilly.
How about it?
So then I went on to ask, what were the Finnegans called before England invaded Ireland? And from the kitchen, a man says, Mr. Finn Light.
And that doesn't sound Celtic. That, to me, that just doesn't sound.
No, he even broke it up the way I just said it.
Mm-hmm.
He made each syllable very obvious.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-mm. And in the kitchen, another man says, we're now crowded at the Boyne. River
Boyne is in northeastern Ireland. It drains into the Irish Sea from County Meath. So, and we don't know where in Ireland our people come from. Our great-great-grandfather, Peter, refused to talk about it. When he signed documents over here, he put down different counties every time. He was hiding from some. And we actually did a video on that a while ago, Colleen.
Yeah.
But
our shady background.
So perhaps we have relatives on the River Boyne. Don't know.
Right. So I also asked, where did we live before we moved to Ireland? And by the glass door, a man said, Spain. And by the powder room, another man says, near the sea. Which doesn't
could be
help
anywhere.
a lot. Yeah. And in the music room, a man said, could have been Spain. And upstairs, a man said, hope it was Little Spain.
Spain all around.
Yeah, all fingers point towards Spain.
The Iberian Peninsula, sure.
Mm-hmm. So then I asked, what were the Finnegans famous for before they moved to Ireland? And upstairs, a man said, ain't no good when we lived. And by the glass door, a man said, every bitty field.
Every bitty field. Bitty, to an Irish person, means small. So a bitty field would be just a small, tiny little field, which of course makes the work very difficult. So I think from those comments, we were just farmers, just like everybody else was farmers.
Mm-hmm.
Scraping away, digging potatoes. But Colleen went on, this is my favorite comments. She asked, how did the Finnegans manage to stay warm during the last ice age? Now, that ended about 12,000 years ago. So we are going back some distance. In the powder room in this house, a man says, I think we froze a lot. I would imagine. In the foyer, a woman comes out with, pretty good. It was freezing. Upstairs, a woman says, we ate polar bears. That's all really curious. And remember, when, 12,000 years ago, 10,000 years equals 500 generations of people. So, and that's a lot of grandfathers, ladies and gentlemen. But the replies to the Ice Age seem like jokers. But to get 3 at the same time, joking, no, that just doesn't happen.
That would be odd.
Yeah, it would be.
So, yeah, I think overall we're obviously recycled in a sense, that we're very old. We're from a clan or a tribe that just overlaps like a Mandela with others like the Goodalls and other Finnegan relatives or Irish relatives. So yeah, I think it's really curious.
We could almost be going back to Neanderthal, even before Homo sapien.
Would they have a memory of that?
That would be, we're going to keep trying. Oh, and an update. The afternoon hauntings upstairs in this house. Oh man, they had a dance party yesterday afternoon. It was insane.
What?
Yeah, it was. It was just, honestly, it sounded like people dancing. There was so much bumping and banging and motion. It just.
My kind of people.
Well, there you have it, folks. Don't forget to subscribe. You got to subscribe. You got to like us. You got to thumbs up. You got to share. You got to just help us get this cranking, people. Come on. Do it. Do it. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.